Hey, here we are, live and in concert from bowls.tv. I'm turning up the sound on the Apple TV just to see if I can hear if we're broadcasting any sound. And I know it's going to sound like a strange thing, but my microphone software, the last 3 days, has updated itself about 3 different times. And they're all updates. Hey, here we are. Hey, it works. Okay, so the microphone is good because the emergency reading you get when you update the software, it says, when we update your microphone software, you're going to mess up OBS, your streaming software. It's going to mess up your microphone. In Windows, it's going to do terrible things to you, and we're just letting you know beforehand. Which I actually appreciate because usually you'd run the update a year ago and everything would break and you really didn't know it until you were live and somebody would contact you and say, hey, you know, you're streaming, but you don't have any sound. And as you can see, I'm wearing a light colored shirt today, which makes my face look very dark. The back, very dark, very gloomy. And if I wear a black shirt, then, you know, everything sort of lightens up. I don't know if that's automatic white balance, automatic autofocus, automatic light between dark. I don't know, contrast, whatever you call it. I turn everything off and try to just work it myself. Because when you turn on automatic, then like the whole show, if you move this way or move that way, then focus goes out. If you go this way or this way, then the light and the dark get all entangled. Big mess. Oh, the problems we have, right? So many interesting things to discuss today. Lots of different avenues to explore. And we'll start with what I have always found to be a very strange day. The day after Valentine's Day is known as Singles Awareness Day. And Kraft, yes, the Kraft macaroni and cheese people company, the Kraft people, several years ago, got involved to try to be cute, saying that the day after Valentine's Day was not just Singles Awareness Day, but Kraft Singles Awareness Day. Because, as you may know, Kraft sells individually wrapped portions of, I guess, fake cheese, not real cheese, produced cheese. I don't know. They call it cheese. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just call it singles. So I always thought it was weird that an advertising company, after the invention of this sort of very nice day that, you know, after Valentine's Day can be very emotional for people. If you don't have someone, you're maybe heartbroken. If you just broke up with somebody, you're heartbroken. If you've been, you know, with someone and they forget you or they forget to get you a Valentine, you're heartbroken. It's very difficult to be successful on Valentine's Day. Flowers usually work. A Valentine card is often very welcomed. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's a weird kind of sort of holiday that doesn't really mean anything. But the intention to bring attention to Singles Awareness Day is a nice one, a good one, okay? So I guess Kraft saw, hey, let's get involved with Singles Awareness Day, and we'll be really cute and call it Kraft Singles, which is what they call their slices of cheese. We'll call it Kraft Singles Awareness Day, and we'll sort of take over the Awareness Day by making it about us and not about the people who are lonely, and a celebration of being on your own. And it's okay to be a person without being connected to another person. Speaking of that, I read a testimony by someone yesterday saying that they were lost. They had lived with their parents all their lives. They were now 42 years old. And both parents were dead. I guess the house was paid off, so this person inherited the house, but was now uncertain what to do with their life. Didn't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't know if it was a male or female. It was all anonymous. Didn't have anyone special in their lives. Both parents were dead. This person said, what do I do now? Where do I go? Do I get married? Do I go out and find friends and bring them into my house? Because I really haven't had any friends because I've been taking care of my two parents. And the responses that person got were just vicious. It was very strange. It's like, well, why don't you have a career? Why haven't you been out of the house? Why are you this way? And it was just a person going online trying to get some help from people, and the people did not really want to help. So Singles Awareness Day is taken over by advertising. Now, there was a lot of sort of outrage about this when it first happened, and I think Kraft has kind of dialed back, if you can call it that, their participation in Singles Awareness Day. And here is an answer that I got from my new favorite search bot, Perplexity.ai. Kraft Singles involvement with Singles Awareness Day does not appear to be directly mentioned in the search results provided. It's a little behind the times. However, Kraft Singles has been known to engage in various market campaigns that align with their brand message of togetherness and enjoyment of their product in different contexts. So that was what was going on with Kraft Singles Awareness Day. And this, I'll put this link in our Discord server, and the link is available right now. So Kraft Singles Awareness Day is a big boondoggle, and it's sort of insulting to people who are single and trying to enjoy their single life. And you have a cheese company coming in there and saying, oh, it's not about you, it's about us. And aren't we funny and clever? Well, not really. Now, speaking of another interesting topic, we're going to get into this Super Bowl topic, but just to lay the groundwork a little bit, this is the website for the Jana Marie Sweetheart and me, called asl-opera.com. And our goal here is to try to bring American Sign Language interpreted performances to the opera stage. And it has been a difficult road so far. As someone in the opera group said, why is opera so elitist still? And it really is. Price-wise, performance-wise, who's allowed in, who's allowed out. It's really like the last bastion of bigotry, if you just want to be blunt about it. There are some of the larger theater companies are starting to include people of color in traditionally white-only performances in operas, because these operas all those years ago were created by white men and they were performed by white people. And now new operas are being created and formed and about Malcolm X, boxing, that have more of a universal appeal to a new audience of people of color. So in one of the opera groups, I've been talking about our ASL Opera project. Some people are very supportive. Some people are not so supportive. In fact, one person told us, well, the deaf don't belong in the opera. It's not for them. It's just for people who can hear the music. And, you sort of try to reason with the people a little bit, but they don't want to be reasoned with. Those kind of people. They just want to argue with you. They just want to see if they can burn the place down instead of trying to build something up. So over the weekend, I got a message from someone, and it was what I call a necrotic message, because this person was replying to our original ASL Opera thing that's been going on for about a year. So this person said, I'm new here. I don't really understand what's going on, but can you explain, if you have live ASL interpreters in the opera house, why do you think the deaf people will watch the opera on stage when they should be paying attention to the ASL interpreters. Now, some people are there and they just want to give you a hard time. Some people are there because they really don't understand. Some people are there just kind of hanging out because they want to try to learn things from other people. So I did my best to very calmly yet succinctly explain to this person that, look, deaf people are used to multitasking. They can watch an interpreter here and they can watch a performance over here. They've been interpreting live Broadway shows for deaf audiences for 25 years. The deaf people can watch the interpreters singing the song and also watch the people on stage singing the same song. Your eyes are very fast. They can go back and forth and you can look at things. Okay? That's just the way it works. When you're at home and you're a deaf person and you're watching television and you have the closed captions on and they're running right down here and you're reading this and then you look up at the characters and you look down, look up, look down, look down. And that's how you make yourself involved in a conversation when that conversation is made accessible. So when you have opera companies that refuse to provide ASL interpreters, now some opera companies will provide text translation. Stop fighting the good fight. No, 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 no. You go right back out there and you fight, and you fight, and you fight, and you fight. I just got a notice that OBS reconnected. So if we were disconnected for a moment, I'm very sorry. I don't know what happened. It's probably something with the software. So this conversation sort of softens up what we're going to get into next, and that is this total failure of CBS and the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl, by any human metric, was successful. 123.4. Interesting, right? 123.4. 123.4 million people watched the Super Bowl. The cheapest ticket in the stadium, $10,000. A seat at the 50-yard line, halfway up the stands, $67,000 for one ticket. So the nosebleed seats are $10,000 a ticket. So if you have two people, you're paying $20,000. Who does that? Who are these people? If you're at the 50-yard hash, you're paying $67 per ticket. $67,000 per ticket. It's just outrageously ridiculous. So the Super Bowl was great, wonderful game, people watched it, Taylor Swift, hey, performances. Wait a minute now. Oh, there were performances. But the performances for the deaf were completely and totally botched in a really cruel and mean and specific way. And my beautiful wife, Jana Marie Sweetheart, who is deaf, and the force behind ASL Opera, and I like to watch the Super Bowl. And for the past several years, they have announced deaf performers to interpret in ASL. Oh, here we go again. ASL over here, opera over here, ASL over here, Super Bowl performer over here. Closed captions are there, right? Text captions are there. But seeing it visually is an accommodation for accessibility and inclusion, right? Nice, yeah? Well, here we go. CBS, trying to have it both ways, almost like Kraft Singles. Kraft Singles is taking over Singles Awareness Day by making it about cheese. The Super Bowl says, oh, we have all these performers, and each performer will have its own unique ASL, deaf, sign language interpreter, and that's as far as we're going to go. We're going to announce it, and then we're not going to show it. We're not going to show the interpreter on screen. We might put the camera on one interpreter one time for half a second, but we're not going to let any deaf person in the audience who's watching the Super Bowl see the interpreter. You have to, I guess, be in the stadium. And maybe they have like a secondary broadcast you can watch later that is dedicated to the performance of the ASL performer. Now, that is a failure of CBS. I don't care if the NFL comes to you and says, oh, yeah, we're going to pretend that we have interpreters for the broadcast. We're just going to mention it, have the PA announcer mention it, and then we're going to have the people go out there wave for the camera. Hi, I'm the ASL interpreter, and then we're never going to see him again. And CBS, if that's what happened, the NFL said that, which I don't believe, and CBS needs to say, well, we're not doing that. We're going to be inclusive. We're going to show the deaf interpreter. And if you don't want the deaf interpreter on stage with the performer, then you can do like they did in the 70s and 80s when television was trying to become more inclusive, and you just put the interpreter in a little box so the deaf people could see the interpreter. It's there. They paid for that person. They flew them in. They're performing. So there were like 4 or 5 performances, pre-show game performances on the Super Bowl field where ASL interpreters were introduced and then never shown. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is what you get for it. And I like this from Star Tribune being blunt about it. CBS snubs Duluth's Daniel Durant and other American Sign Language performers during the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what it was, a snub. It was a slap in the face. Hey, you come all the way here. We're going to introduce you on television. You're going to stand on the field, do your thing, and we're never going to show you on television. Now, who would show up for that? Now, this has been happening for years and years and years. And maybe they get told, oh, this year is going to be different. This year we're actually going to show you signing a song. Now, if you don't want to show them doing the whole song, okay. Can you show them doing 30 seconds of a song? Because they introduced Daniel. He waved. We saw his wonderful shirt here with the I love you thing right on it. Whoops. Oh, now I've done it. Oh, now I've done it, laddies. What did I do? I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so if I go here, maybe I can find it. Oh, I just messed it. This is my new... Star Tribune. Star Tribune, deaf, interpreter. Oh, now this is interesting. Layoffs coming as 2 Minnesota translation relay centers for deaf are closing. Wow, now that's interesting. Can't stop watching the ASL interpreter for go to Tim Waltz's news conferences. You're not alone. Star Tribune. That's interesting. So anyway, there was outrage that this famous deaf actor was not shown on stage. And another wonderful, beautiful deaf actress stepped forward and also got angry with CBS. Marlee Matlin, Academy Award winner. Marlee Matlin calls out CBS for not showing ASL performers during the Super Bowl. I'm absolutely shocked. And she can talk about this because she appeared on the Super Bowl with Garth Brooks. And I believe her interpretation was right next to Garth. He was on stage singing, and she was right there and interpreting in ASL the song that he was singing. It was what it's supposed to be. Equal access, equal people performing on the stage, on the screen at the same time. So Marlee stands up and calls out CBS. Marlee Matlin is calling out CBS after the live network did not feature the American Sign Language performers during the Super Bowl. These deaf artists did all these performances, and CBS didn't show any of it. I'm absolutely shocked at CBS for introducing the deaf performers. at today's pregame Superbowl and then not showing 1 second of their performance, as has been the tradition for 30 years. Why? Marlee Matlin posted that on X. This is her tweet. Ahead of the Super Bowl, Matlin had posted on X a link to the CBS Sports page where the ASL performers would be featured. Matlin had previously interacted with Elon Musk after the Tesla CEO questioned the point of sign language in video if you are subtitled. Ugh. He's gross. As someone who uses both ASL and English, I can tell you they are grammatically and culturally different. All right? So if someone who is deaf and uses ASL exclusively, then a signer on screen provides access, Marlee replied. And did Elon Musk reply to her reply? No. In 2023, Matlin was a jury member at the Sundance Festival and walked out of a magazine Dream screening after the festival failed to provide captions for audience members. Now, see, there you go. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. If you're like in school and you have a sign language interpreter who comes live to your class every day, and that allows you to take a class with a hearing teacher and hearing classmates, and one day the interpreter doesn't show up because they're not feeling well, gets stuck on a train, what does that student do? Do you just sit there and take it and be left out? Or do you just get up and leave because there's no interpreter? Well, Marlee Matlin got up and left. The screening device used to provide closed captions did not work at one of our Friday evening premieres. The jury left, and we'll see it together at another time during the festival. Our team immediately worked for the devices. Meow, meow, meow. And the comments are kind of interesting. I'm very unhappy with CBS introducing the ASL performers and not showing them performing. It's a slap in the face. Sadly, the deaf community is used to it. I noticed the same thing. ASL is a beautiful language and deserves its screen time. CBS made a big deal out of having ASL interpreters for each of the songs and then dropped the ball. Shame. Yeah, never showed them. I don't understand what the point of it was. And then you get a person talking about closed captioning, and then someone corrects them. So there you go. Mainstream, big event, yearly event. It's almost like, Charlie Brown kicking the football. Oh, yeah, we're the NFL. Oh, yeah, we're the Super Bowl. Yeah, we're going to have deaf people. Oh, yeah. We want all the credit. We don't want to do any of the work. We're not going to show them on television, but we're going to bring in ASL interpreters just to say that we did. And if you, listen to the broadcast, you're going to hear that we have the interpreters, but you can't see them. It's very strange and unfortunately sad and weird. Now, that is not the only sort of incident going on about deaf people and going backward. And we don't have to travel very far for our next story. This is another fascination. And if you know anything, if you have any deaf friends or if you have any sort of common sense, you would realize that, hey, deaf people don't hear. It seems there are people who think that deaf people do hear. And deaf people might have a little residual hearing, but that doesn't mean that they hear everything. Every deaf person is different. Just like every hearing person is different. In Ontario, now you think Canada is like forward-thinking, they have, universal health care, you don't need to want for anything because Ontario, Canada as a whole will provide it, whereas the United States won't. In Ontario, deaf schools have employed the use of cowbells. Yeah, cowbell, right? The big thing that goes around a cow's neck and jingle jangles to say, hey, I'm a cow. Deaf schools in Ontario have employed the use of cowbells as part of their emergency alert system. An interim policy was created to address safety concerns, which included the use of cowbells. Not flashing lights like they do here in America. A strobe light means something urgent going on in a business or school setting. Not a cowbell. Which included the use of cowbells to alert deaf teachers, staff, and students in the event of violent incidents. So, there's a school shooter in a deaf school, shooting up the hallways. Is there a flashing light? Is there an SMS text sent from the main office? No. People somehow, somewhere are going to be ringing cowbells up and down the hallway with the shooter shooting them. In a classroom, a teacher's going to be ringing a cowbell so the shooter in the hallway knows that they're in that room, drawing attention to the sound of the cowbell. This Ontario cowbell policy was implemented in response to a lack of adequate safety plans and incidents involving students in Ontario schools for the deaf and blind. The use of cowbells in this context is not related to the traditional cowbell instruments used in music or alpine skiing, but rather as a practical and audible means of communication for individuals with hearing impairments. What? The loudness of cowbells, which can reach up to 115 decibels, makes them suitable for this purpose. Says who? As they can be heard by deaf individuals in a noisy environment. Now that is an absolute lie. That is a cover statement, a cover your butt statement that in no way can be proven true. It is worth noting that the use of cowbells in this context is a response to systemic issues and allegations of abuse within Ontario schools for the deaf and blind, which have been a subject of concern and investigation. The Bob Rumble Canadian Centre of Excellence for the Deaf, with locations in North York, Milton, and Parry Sound, is a notable organization that provides services and support for the deaf community in Ontario. And this is, I will put up links to the video in our Discord server. This is the announcement that Ontario is going to use cowbells. Someone asked AI to make a sign language manual in case you're worried that it will be out of a job soon. That's an image of a cowbell, right? Ridiculous. A cowbell to alert deaf children. Oh my goodness. It makes you wonder what kind of world we live in, where you have insane people who don't make any sense trying to explain what's happening in accessibility and in deafness resolution. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand what's going on or why. Now, this leads to another interesting bit of research. What is the current research on how eyes talk to ears? Now, this popped up in my news feed maybe a month ago, and I saved it, and then, of course, somehow it got misplaced with all these updates we do for Windows 11. But I found it this morning using my new search tool. So your eyes talk to your ears. Now, this doesn't have anything to do necessarily with deafness or blindness, right? It has to do with eyes and ears communicating with each other. And if you're a healthy person, your entire body communicates with itself over time. Researchers at Duke University, in collaboration with the University of Southern California, have made significant strides in decoding the subtle sounds produced by the ears in response to eye movements. This phenomenon was first identified in 2018 when it was discovered that the ears generate faint noises as the eyes move. Wow. I have no idea how they discovered this. The latest studies have further elucidated that this interaction, demonstrating that these ear sounds can reveal the direction of eye movement, indicates where a person is looking. So if you listen to what the person is hearing, you can then figure out where they're looking. That's wild. This research involved participants tracking a green dot on a computer screen, with their eye movements generating distinct auditory signals in the ear, captured using microphone-embedded earbuds. By analyzing these sounds, researchers were able to predict the direction of eye movement based on the unique sound signatures associated with different directions of movement. So what does this mean for deaf people? I don't know. What does it mean for people like me who have tinnitus? Now, I can hear the ringing in this ear all day long, all night long. So if I put an earbud in here to listen to my eye signals, is it hearing my tinnitus or is it hearing the sound signals? I don't know. Probably why I'm so confused, because my eyes are not able to communicate with your ears. This discovery is not just a curiosity, but has profound implications for understanding human sensory integration. It suggests that the brain matches up sights and sounds by informing the ears about the eye's movements, potentially helping to sharpen our spatial perception and localization skills. Wow. That's big news. Lots of interesting links about this as well. Future directions. Do your eyes squeak as they move? I will put this link also on our Discord server. Now, speaking of eyes and ears, have you heard about the new Hot Wheels? Hey, it came out last year, but sometimes it takes you a little while to find things that are going on. And I found this wonderful Hot Wheels racer. And as you can see, it's white. As you can see, it says on the packaging, National Federation of the Blind. Now, some might ask, just as we were asked by the person in the group, why would a deaf person watch an ASL interpreter and a person performing on stage? It doesn't make any sense. I'm sure a person like that would also say, why would Hot Wheels create a Braille car for a blind child to play with when the blind child can't drive and the blind child doesn't see the car moving? Well, sometimes it's about education. Sometimes it's about sharing. It's about being sensitive. Sometimes you want to fantasize about things. There are companies that make astronaut dolls, Superman dolls. Well, this child will never be an astronaut. This child will never be Superman. Why have a doll? Why feed into a child's imagination and dreams? Well, Mattel, Hot Wheels, took a different point of view. Let's have an inclusive toy. Let's create a toy that includes people, like the Hot Wheels Braille Racer. So there are two versions I've discovered. I love this car so much, and it's fast too. We have a track that we have built here in the house, and Jan Marie and I race cars every once in a while, and this Hot Wheels racer is fast. And these are some of the images. This is the white version. That's my favorite. It's made of plastic, and it sort of imitates the Braille dots. And you can see Braille dots on the side of the car and even on the packaging. And I have the packaging here. I'll show you one up close. But I want to set up the history just a little bit on this. So here's another image of the Hot Wheels racer. I think this one, is this one the, this is the silver one, the metal one. So this one's made of metal. The white one's a little bit easier to see and feel. Now, why was this created? Playing with the Hot Wheels Braille Racer, specifically the HW Braille Racer Twin Mill, involves a unique blend of tactile exploration and traditional Hot Wheels play. Why can't a blind child have that experience that a sighted child can have? The model is designed with Braille dots all over its body and base, making it accessible and enjoyable for visually impaired children and collectors. The Braille on the packaging and the car itself includes the names Hot Wheels Twin Mill, the number 68, and the words mill on one side and twin on the other, enhancing the tactile experience. I'll put this link also on our Discord server. Now, here we go. So, this is the empty packaging. This is for the white version of the Hot Wheels car, right? And as you can see, the Braille right here, very prominent, absolutely divine and delicious. And this is the car. It's number 68 is what this says on the back. That is the year that Hot Wheels were invented, 1968. And on one side it says twin in Braille, and the other side it says mill, which is the name of this classic racer. And on the bottom, probably turn it this way, I think, so I can read it a little bit better. It says Hot Wheels. All white, sort of made of plastic. Comes like this in there. Boom, right? Who wouldn't love this? And here's the other version. This is the silver version. Here's the packaging with the Braille on the outside of the packaging. I love it so much. Here's the back side. What do you see? What do you see? What you get? Fuel your imagination. Braille Racer, Twin Mill. What does it say right here? I can't read it. It's too small. Here is what the actual racer looks like. See, a little harder to see, but more stylish, I guess. And this one feels like it's made of some kind of metal, right? So again, backside right here, number 68. Focus. This side, Twin Mill on the side, right? And then on the bottom, a little harder to see than the white one, Hot Wheels. Together, yes, showing the cars. Carol Merrill here with you. Everything's backward. The back of the car. Yes. My eyes are going crazy with our beta test of our camera software. And they zoom. They have very fast wheels. And then Hot Wheels on the bottom. Terrific, right? And just to be totally not anal retentive, maybe a little bit of OCD. Meow. This is how they appear in the package. I love the inclusion. I love it when neat things happen. I just love they went the extra mile to put the Braille dots, Hot Wheels, twin mill on the actual packaging and on the actual car. It's just a wonderful feeling when things go right. Now, could the Superbowl and CBS and the NFL learn from Hot Wheels? Hey, we're not just going to announce we're going to have a car with Braille dots for disabled children. We're going to actually make it, and we're actually going to put it out into the world. We're not just going to say we're going to do something to get credit for it on social media. We're actually going to go out there and make it happen. And I guess that's the big difference between the NFL, craft singles, and opera companies. On one side, you have craft singles, opera companies, the NFL, taking advantage of people by saying they're going to do something and then not doing it. Oh, it's Craft Singles Awareness Day. It's about cheese and not people. Oh, look, we have deaf interpreters at the Super Bowl, but we're not going to show them to the deaf audience. Oh, sure, we're the opera company. We're all about inclusion and being forward-thinking, but we're not going to provide any ASL interpreter performances for any of those deaf people who don't belong in the opera in the first place. That's how they think. And then on the other side, you have the Jana Marie, who has created ASL-opera.com with the intention of including deaf people in opera performances, even though it's an uphill battle. You have Hot Wheels saying, hey now, we believe in children, and we believe in play, and we believe in collectability, and we're going to put out a Braille racer. And if it sells, it sells, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're going to do it because we said we would. And then you have people like Marlee Matlin, who have authenticity and authority to speak to people about some of these difficult issues. She performed at the Super Bowl. She can say to CBS, she can say to the NFL, she can say to Elon Musk, wake up. And I'm not saying that means being woke. Wake up means be polite, be thoughtful, and be caring. And that doesn't mean that you're a Democrat or a Republican. It's just doing the right thing. It's a bit of a moral issue. If you say you're going to do something for a certain community, follow through and get it done. And if you don't expect to be complimented for your inaction and for your cruelty. And that's what Marlee Matlin did. She stood up to the NFL and CBS and for her friends and said, this is not right. Now, will it make any difference? Probably not, because it never has. The NFL has never cared about actually providing ASL interpreted performances for the deaf. They have not. They pretend to, but they don't do it. So it's unfortunate. And then we have research, tying together eyes and ears, and it makes you wonder, well, how do blind people don't have eye movements? Do blind people have eye movements that send signals to their ears anyway? There are people like Stevie Wonder who said when he would write music, he sees the musical notes as colors, so he paints with colors in his mind. There are some people who say that blind people, even though they can't see, and maybe this is related to the ear thing, they sort of have like a radar. They can train themselves to have radar, sort of, like when they enter a room, their ears can pick up the the echoes, right? Like Batman, like a bat signal, like radar, and they can figure out where people are in the room. Generally, they can hear. Daredevil is a big example of this on, the Marvel universe. They can get the shape of the room, how many people are in the room, and with practice, some blind people said they can almost see the room by hearing the room. And for deaf people, it's just the opposite, which is the way it should be. They hear through their eyes, and they can multitask with their eyes and do many different things and pay attention, rapt attention, to more than one thing at one time. And people who are not disabled often tend not to understand what disabled people go through because they don't have to think about it. They don't want to put themselves in the shoes of someone else. They just want to live their life, which is fine, but they want to live their life and tell other people how they should live their life. That's a problem, because those people often don't understand what's really happening in the world. They pretend that they understand. They pretend that they care. But when it comes down to it, they don't know anything, because they have a very easy life that doesn't really fluctuate from average. And the disabled, the other people who have to go out and deal with the real world, they know what's happening out there. They know they have to be functional and malleable, and they have to go along in critical situations and figure out what's going on around them in ways that other people don't understand. So that's the show today. We had a lot of fun. It was a big disappointment watching the Super Bowl and having all this build-up. And every year, you think you're going to kick the football, just like Charlie Brown. And every year they take away the football and say, yeah, we have deaf people here. Well, they are performing, but we're not going to show it to you. Even though we introduced them, we're not going to show it to you because we don't want to. We don't think you're anything. And it could be a moment of teaching. Hey, here's some deaf performers interpreting a deaf song. Hey, here's a Braille car for kids who can see. So maybe they can get a sense of what it's like to be blind and have to feel something in order to maybe understand what it is. That's how you live a human life. You try to be sensitive and cogent and aware of all the threats, dangers, and joys that are around you. So until next time, thank you for being here. I'll see you soon. I'm David Bowles. This has been Bowles.tv. You know where to find me. I'll see you soon. Bye.